It is expensive to own a house in Nairobi. Developers are keen on the market that has the money, and now the growth of lavish apartments has dominated the housing sector here. As of 2008, it was estimated that more than half the world's population lives in urban areas. Of this, over 1 billion live in slums and squatter settlements.
The cost of capital, or called interest rates. In many countries, the interest rates are too high. They are too high because they are what we call, economists call them double-digit interest rates. So when you do the amortization schedules, it becomes very difficult to pay for the mortgage.
UN Habitat has taken on a project that seeks to provide capacity building for project development, to offer affordable lending to low-income groups and to mobilize domestic capital.
The reimbursable seeding operations initiative is the fact that we give loans to local financial institutions in UN Habitat partner countries, and the implementation and the loan administration and due diligence for the end users will be done by the local banks and the partner financial institutions. And our partners can be either banks or microfinance institutions.
The beneficiaries of the fund have been identified through a number of processes under the auspices of the Kenya Slum Upgrading Program, which actually work with communities in identifying the individuals or community members who are within the low income category, and then would be targeted for programs as this.
Housing Finance is the project's partner in Kenya. With a seed capital from UN Habitat, the bank will now lend for construction of about 100 houses in Athi River, a town near Nairobi, and also provide mortgage for housing cooperatives.
There are various low-cost housing initiatives going on. The Ministry of Housing is leading some, other NGOs are leading others. But as relates to this ERSO experimental solution, we're very fortunate that the government did provide the 50 acres of land in Mavoko. So this experiment, both the phase 1 and subsequent phases, will be concentrated in Mavoko. But again, we need to treat this as a seed, because out of this we expect to germinate a lot of other initiatives and to also motivate other private sector players, public sector players to come in different forms to really support the very dire need for mass low-cost housing solutions in this country.
In the past, funds have been given as grants, but this project is experimenting with giving out the capital as a loan, provided to financial institutions rather than the end users.
The experiment is laid out in a way that there is a resolution of UN Habitat that has been approved 2 years ago, that we have a 4-year experimental period, and after 4 years, so then in 2011, the Governing Council will decide whether they want to continue with these kind of loan operations or whether there will be some other decision. But the project itself can run much longer. So the experimental period only says whether we will start new operations after 2011 or not. But some of those loans run between 2 and 10 years or so. So they are not affected by the experimental period as such.
I think the good news out of this crisis is that it is now clear that the state has to be at the center if we are going to have affordable housing and sustainable systems. So that is one issue. There is also the challenge of the foreign exchange risk. Do you lend in US dollars? How do you denominate the loan? Because if you are going to lend or borrow without the government guarantee and you are exposed to foreign exchange risk, that can also be tricky. So some of the innovations, for example, this is lending now in local currency. Clearly, there is implied public support.
This project aims to tackle housing and infrastructure problems facing the urban poor through innovative financial mechanisms. If this experiment works, it will also be a signal to investors to view this as a viable and sustainable activity.